Alright, last meeting, di ba? What we discussed is all about cost terms and concepts. Kaya lang nakataon na yung Monday ay holiday, na Muntinlupa Day. Alright, so hindi tayo nag-meet last meeting. Alright, so ngayon, okay, Monday. Alright. Sige, our topic for now, for today is all about job order costing. Okay? Wait lang. Share my screen. Alright. Today, what I will discuss or I will focus on is only up to materials lang, no? Para at least, kasi focus tayo is more on, yan. Saan na ba yan? Alright. Today, I will discuss about, no? Explain the purpose of cost accounting again. And number two, the flow of costs in terms of the job order costing system. Then explain the nature in terms or the importance of the job cost sheet. Then indicate, no, the predetermined overhead rate. So maybe I will discuss or we will discuss the overhead rate next meeting na. All right. By the way, kailan ba ang ating midterm? Poll. Alam niyo ba?
Sir, yung week po ng March 2022, if I'm not
22.
mistaken.
Ano ba ngayon? So we
8 po.
have 8 ngayon. So 22. Oh, we have one meeting pa pala. Sige. At least we will end up to job order costing. So our coverage is basically introduction to cost accounting, cost terms and concepts, then the job order. Yan.
Sir, ganun yung midterms ko.
Yung
Multiple
midterm.
choice din
Yan yung
po.
cover. Multiple choice din. Alright. Konti ang coverage ngayon. Baka madami sa finals. No? Kasi meron pa tayong cost for materials, cost for overhead, cost for labor. We have process costing. Siguro I will not focus more on that, no? Maybe process costing na tayo kasi baka, yes, hapyaw lang, no? About the inventory. Then, we have also standard costing pa, di ba? Kaya madami pa. Alright. Ba't ang iksi nga ng ano ngayon, no? Kasi last meeting, no? Meron tayong holiday, no? Alright, kaya pala. Kaya siguro. Alright. Next meeting, I will discuss ito, no? Completed and transferred and also the under and over applied overhead. Kasi gusto kong i-separate yun. Tama ba? Nahirapan ba kayo sa over and under applied overhead? Last time? Hello?
Sir, medyo po, yung pag-a-analyze.
Pag-analyze. Alright. Kaya ngayon, tama. Thank you, Paul. No? Kaya ngayon is, we will set aside the overhead muna. Alright. Sige. Alright, cost accounting. No? Ang sabi, cost accounting, it involves measuring, recording, and reporting your product cost. Alright, what do you mean of, again, bakit sir? You will only measure, you will only record, and you only report the product cost. But again, what do you mean of product cost? Anyone? Bakit sir? Product cost lang. Eh di ba, you have also period cost? Madeline. Why is it that we only measure, we only record, we only report the product cost? Madeline?
Sir, kasi
okay.
po, hello po,
Sige, go.
rinig po.
Go.
Kasi po sa cost accounting po, kailangan po natin malaman lahat yung mga cost po sa products na ima-manufacture po ng company.
Alright, very good, no? 'Di ba? Because product cost is also known as, 'di ba, Madeline, is also known as inventoriable cost. Tama ba? Alright, meaning the product cost is part of the manufacturing cost. Very good, no, Madeline? And also your inventoriable cost, meaning for now, it is part of your inventories. You have your raw materials inventory, you have your work in process inventory, and you have your finished goods inventory. Okay? Kasi, if it is a period cost, ano mangyayari? Pag period cost is it is expense outright. Tama ba, Erica? Diba? Alright. Ano kayong product cost? Direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. All of this will become part of your cost of goods sold. While general and admin, selling and marketing are all part of what? Expense outright. Diba? That is, no? Alright. That's why cost accounting consists of manufacturing cost account that are fully integrated in terms of general ledger of the company. Alright. Again, also in the cost accounting system, the important features of this is basically to use the perpetual inventory system. Ano nga ang perpetual inventory system, Therese? If you remember. Ano nga ang perpetual inventory system? Therese Balyada. Wala. Obe.
Uh,
Okay, sige, go.
um, nire-record yung stock.
Nire-record yung,
Time.
ano yun?
Real time nire-record yung stock.
Yes, very good. Real time is the recording, yes. Yes, and also, perpetual inventory system, you record inventory. 'Di ba?
Yes.
Not purchase or purchase allowances and returns, purchase discount in the periodic inventory system. All right, in the cost accounting, no, we record everything, 'di ba? Under the perpetual inventory system. Very good. Sorry. All right, there are two types of cost accounting system, no? You have job order cost system and you have process cost system. So later, job order, sorry, after job order may ano pa tayo, CVP analysis. All right, job order. After that, we have CVP. So maybe I will set aside accounting for materials, labor, and overhead. I will focus more on the CVP kasi importante yon, no? CVP analysis, process costing, standard costing, and join and buy product. Yan. Okay? Kasi dito pa lang, we can now understand more about the inventories and labor. Yan. And also overhead. All right. So after job order, we will discuss about process costing. Again, there are two types of cost accounting system. You have job order and the process costing system. All right. Okay. When you say job order costing system, it is basically you record it as cost per job or cost per batch. So meaning if you are manufacturing a product, it is basically you compute it based on the cost per job. All right. Rather than the time period. O, ano yung time period? Anyone? For sure, alam nyo na to. What do you mean of time period here? Diba there are two types of cost accounting system? You have job order and you have your... Nakita? You have your... If you listen to my discussion a while ago. Oh, what are the two types of cost accounting system?
Sir, Balyado
Okay.
po.
Sige, sige, Therese. It is your...
Process.
Very good.
Process.
Process costing system. That's why it is basically based on the time period. Alam ko, yung karamihan dito ay BS accountancy under Miss Coliano, di ba? So for sure, alam niya na yung process costing, di ba? You compute for the work done. Tama ba? Discuss ba sa inyo last time? How to compute for the process costing using the equivalent units of production? Alessandro? Hindi. Ano yan? You discuss ba about the process costing in computing for the EUP? Hindi na, hindi na maalala. Alright, so,
SBP po tayo nag-stop, sir. CBP analysis.
ano yun? Nag-stop tayo sa CVP? What do you mean?
Sa high-low method po. Doon po tayo nag-stop yung
Hindi. Yung last time, 'Di ba, majority dito ay BS accountancy. Tama ba?
Opo.
Okay. Na-discuss ba about process costing?
Opo.
Alright. So, alam nyo ba how to compute for the equivalent units of production? Meaning the work done, Bea? Hindi na
Hmm,
maalala.
Alala po. Mm.
Yan. Okay. Don't worry. I will teach you about the process costing. That's why it is basically based on the time period. Yan. Meaning the percentage of the work done. Percentage in terms yung natapos na. Yan. Ayan, that's basically the job order cost, the process costing. Let's say ito yung, no? Ito yung gagawin natin in terms of the job order, no? Job order number 9501 and order number 9502. As you notice, no, block ink, typesetting, invitations, stock, and envelope are all part of direct materials. Tama ba? Yung gumagawa ng wedding invitation are basically part of your direct labor. Tama ba? Yung kuryente, ilaw, tubig, paggamit nito, or any utilities or any rental, depreciation of the equipment are all part of manufacturing overhead. So your materials, your factory overhead, and your labor will become part of your finished product, which is your wedding invitations. Also your menus, no? Typesetting, white stock, lamination, 50 copies are all part of your direct, are also part of your, uh, are also part of the manufacturing costs. And eventually will become part of your finished product. Okay? Intindihan ba? Alright. Clear so far? Thumbs up nga if clear. Alright. Thank you, Brandon and Paul. Alright. Sige. Clear ha? If you have no question. Alright. Next. How about the process costing system? Again, it is used when a series of connected manufacturing processes or department produce in a large volume of uniform or relatively homogeneous product. Production is more continuous. O yan. So basically, in terms of the process costing system, kaya siya tinatawag na process costing, meaning you have a process, you have a continuous production, di ba? For example, you are the manufacturing of cars, no? Yung kotse, Toyota Innova, let's say, or Honda BRV. Meaning, if you have Honda BRV, you have work in process 1. So, work in process 1, malamang ang una mo gagawin ay external part. Okay? Work in process 1. And you have also work in process 2, your internal. Tama ba? So, meaning, external muna, next internal. Pag nagawa na yon, will become part of your finished product. Tama ba, Erika? Naintindihan? Alright. O, parang beer din, no?
Yes
Work
po.
in process 1, bote. Work in process 2 is ingredients of beer. O, di ka naman pwedeng uminom, Erika, na bote lang, di ba? So, meaning you have your work in process 1 of bottles, you have work in process 2 of beer. Eventually, the ingredients, no, will fill in to the bottle, no? Yan na yung paboritong iniinom ni ano, favorite na iniinom ni Dane. Diba? Tama ba, Dane? Yung Red Horse na iniinom mo. Yan na yung magiging San Miguel product. That's basically your process costing system. Tama ba, Dane? Nainom ka ba? Bawal? Hindi?
Ah,
Alright. Yan. That's basically, parang ang hirap mo sumagot na. Anyway, yan. That's basically your process costing system. Alright. So meaning, process costing is basically based on the period of time, no? As opposed to the specific product of cost. Alright. And let's say oil pump, benzene, yan. So basically, that's part of the process costing system. Don't worry, no? We will discuss it further maybe after na CVP analysis kasi para kailan ba ang ating last Bridget? Kailan ba ang ating last meeting? May ba? O June? Bridget?
Sir, last meeting po.
Ah, May or June? Para
Ano,
maplano ko. Hmm?
hindi ko lang sure.
No idea. Alright. Tingin ko May eh. Alright, sige. Alright, next. Cost accounting again. Cost accounting differs no, widely from company to company. So meaning, iba-iba yung company in terms of using the cost accounting. O, minsan, iba yung ginagamit or minsan yung iba, di ba? Kasi, uh, alright. Again, bakit nga kailangan that you have a unit cost of information? Because of setting up of price. Tama, Erica? To have your cost control and to have your inventory valuations and especially also your FS presentation. Bakit nga kailangan again, Erica? Kasi nga if ever, pag wala kang cost information, you cannot be able to know your product price. Okay? My question is, Erica, in terms ba of the product pricing, included ba yung period cost?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Alright. Again, the answer is no. Why? Because the product pricing is basically your product cost. Tama ba? Because it is only your direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. Sir, how about the period cost? Diba sabi ko, it is an expense outright. Diba, Erica? That's why only the product cost only. Alright. So far, clear ba?
Example po na for
Alright.
banda.
Question. Therese.
Example po ng example ano pong example ng period cost?
Sample of the period cost is, okay, there are two types of uh, costing, no? As to the product, sorry, as to the costing, you have product cost and period cost. When you say product cost, it is also known as manufacturing cost, is also known as inventoriable cost. Ano yung mga product cost? Direct materials, direct labor, and your manufacturing overhead. Sir, ano naman yung period cost? Okay, period cost is basically your selling and marketing costs, and you have your general and administrative expense. Meaning, Therese, no? When you have your period cost, ang trabaho mo lang ay magbenta, magbenta, at magbenta. Okay? And you sell and you market the product. And also, ang gagawin mo if you are the period cost is general and admin expense. Kayo, tayo, no? All of you will become certified public accountant here. If you are part of the accounting, if you are part of the finance department, no? All of us are part of the period cost. Bakit? The period cost is the support and services of the company. The top management also is also part of uh, general and admin, part of the period cost. So in layman's term, product cost, yung gumagawa mismo ng produkto. While period cost is other than manufacturing the product. Gets ba, Therese?
Yes po.
Alright, that's why.
Thank you po.
Okay. That's why, di ba, Erica? Kanina, sabi ko, only the product cost. Kasi, the product cost of materials, labor, and overhead are inventoriable costs. Yan ay part of your of your cost of setting up your selling price. While the period cost is expense outright. So far clear. Thumbs up if clear. Pag hindi, ano. Okay. Alright, thank you, Paul and James. Alright, clear ha? Clear so far ha? Alright, next, explain the flow of cost in terms of the job order costing system. Alright, the flow of cost in terms of Of that, now you have your direct materials, direct labor, and overhead, and then it will be converted into the finished product. Paano yan, sir? So if you have wood, if you have metal, in a manufacturing your tables, you have your bolt, nuts, and nails. That's part of the overhead. Yung gumagawa mismo ng tables, no? They are all part of total manufacturing cost. You have your materials, you have your labor, and you have your overhead. All of this will become or will be converted into the finished goods inventory. Sir, paano pag yan ay hindi pa tapos? Saan siya part? Baya?
Process po.
Ha?
Process.
Ano yan?
Process.
Process? Alright. Process ba? Alright. What if, di ba, you have your materials, labor, overhead. Ang goal natin is all of this will become part of the finished product. Kaya lang, may mga time na hindi pa tapos yan. Bungi-bungi pa. Wala pang... Okay. Very good, James, Paul, Alfred, and ano yan? Rhea. Okay. Tama ba? Rhea, no? Very good. Pag hindi pa tapos, partially completed pa. Tama naman, Bea, yun, no? Kaya lang kulang pa. It should be work in process. Yan. Alright. All jobs are worked on as part of the manufacturing cost and assigned to the work in process account. No? When job is completed and transferred out, it is part of the finished goods. Pag yan ay pag natapos na, will become part and transferred as cost of goods sold. Alright. That's why here, manufacturing costs, labor, materials, and overhead will be assigned to the work in process. And pag natapos na, will become part of the finished goods. And pag naibenta na, will become part of your cost of goods sold. Alright, clear ba? Alright, ngayon ba mas madali na ba ngayon? Alright, hello?
Yes po, sir.
Alright, mas madali na ngayon. Alright, sige. O, alam niyo na to. Erika. Hello? Erika, ito ba'y alam niyo na or refresher lang or first time?
Naririnig po.
Narinig lang. Alright, yan. Hopefully, yeah, in your exam or quiz again. No? Alright, there are two major steps in terms of your flow of cost. You accumulate and you assign. Okay? Alright. And after that, you accumulate naman. Okay? And then assign ulit. Alright. Okay. This is the flow of cost. Okay? I believe na ito ay alam niyo na din. Alright. Number one, you have your raw materials inventory. Okay? And you have your incur factory labor. Yan. Again, and you have your incur manufacturing overhead. Alright, sige. I have with me here my I have with me here my Excel na. Ginawa ko kanina. Para mabilis tayo.
Sir, yung sa raw materials in question po, sir.
Raw materials, sige, Therese.
And yung nasa T account, sir. So,
Mhm.
ano na yan, halo-halo na yan ng kung ano-anong inventory, no?
Sa T account, no, you have your raw materials inventory as part of DM and indirect materials. You have also your work in process inventory. Hindi halo-halo, ha? And you have your
I mean,
finished goods
sir,
inventory.
kunyari, sa table,
Mhm.
lahat ng amount ng kailangan sa table, yun yung, parang hindi na siya, parang separate pa na, ito puro total amount ng table, total amount ng metal,
And
total, lahat
no,
sa,
no, lahat-lahat na. Okay. Lahat yan
okay,
ay
okay,
mapupunta
sir.
sa work in process muna. Yan. Pag work in process na, after that, will become part of your cost of goods sold. Alright. Very good,
Okay po,
Therese.
sir.
Alright. Sige. Alright. I have now with me my Excel. No? Ginawa ko kanina having while kayo ay naki-quiz. Yan. Para mas mabilis. Alright. Take note. No? Number one, you have your raw materials, purchase of raw materials. Diba? Number one is basically here You have raw materials. What is the entry here? Now you debit raw materials inventory and you credit here payable. Take note, when you say raw materials here, it is basically a combination of direct materials and indirect materials. Later naman, don't worry. One by one naman tayo, no? Maybe up to number 4 lang tayo. Number 4 muna. Okay? Kasi yung 5, pababa, will be discussed in our next meeting para mabilis tayo. Alright, number 2 is you have your factory labor. Okay? Incur factory labor. So, you debit here factory labor and you credit here salaries payable. By the way, alam niyo na ba to? Hindi ba? You know how to generalize? Not yet. Hello?
Sir, yung pag-journalize po, opo. Pero basic lang.
Basic lang. Alright, sige. So, number 2, if you incur factory labor, you debit factory labor, meaning factory labor, it is composed of direct labor, sorry, it should be direct labor and indirect labor. Yan. And you have also salaries payable. Yan. Number 3 naman is you incur manufacturing overhead. Take note on number 3. When you incur the overhead, very important is you have your actual overhead. All your actual should be debited. Alright. Kaya nga, di ba, in this example of the T account, what you debit is all your actual. Alright. All your credit in the overhead is your applied factory overhead. Why? Kasi when we are now in the under or over applied overhead, very important is this. Alright, sige, mamaya, no? Ako ba yung naintindihan, Denise?
Yes po.
Alright, very good. Number 4. What if now, out of 42,000, you will issue to production worth direct materials of 24 and indirect materials of 6,000. Meaning, let's say tables and chairs, no, si Therese. Kailangan na daw ng worth 30,000. And na-find out mo na sa materials na 30,000, direct materials yan ay 24,000. Indirect materials niyan ay 6,000. Meaning, 24,000 worth of wood, metal, then 6,000 worth of bolts, nuts, and nails. Okay, take note of number 4. No? When you issue that to the production, direct materials are charged to, ito yung sinasabi ni Therese, no? Yan ay ita-charge lahat sa work in process. If you are direct materials. Bakit? Kasi yan ay halo-halo na materials ng ano mo, metals, tables, yan, first time. How about, sir, the indirect materials? It will be charged to your manufacturing overhead if it is actual. Okay? Meaning it is part of the overhead. And after that, you have your raw materials of 30,000. Meaning, makano lahat yung balance mo? 42 minus
Yes.
30. That's why you have 12,000 here. Diba? Yes, there is question?
Wala po sir,
Wala.
nagbilang ako
Alright.
ng 12.
Yan. Okay lang. Sige. Alright. Again, when you issue your materials to production and it is a direct materials, it is to be debited to work in process. Pag yan ay indirect materials, it is charged to manufacturing overhead. Alright, number 5. Number 5, let's say out of 32,000, na, ano mo, na find out mo na 28,000 dyan ay factory worker na salary. Any remaining balance, 4,000, is your supervisor salary, janitorial, plant manager. Alright, meaning the work in process of direct labor is basically to be charged to the work in process. Sir, how about yung salary ng ating mga parang not directly associated with the product or indirect labor? It is charged to manufacturing overhead as part of the indirect labor. as you notice here, di ba? It is charged to your manufacturing overhead. Sorry, it should be, sorry, not raw materials.
Yung
It should
naka-
be, di ba? Factory labor to, di ba? Mali ako. Yan. Okay. So far ba clear?
Yes. Opo.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Number 6. Number 6, ang sabi is, you have now applied factory overhead. The applied overhead here, as you notice, it is to be charged to the work in process. And you credit here manufacturing overhead. My question is, what do you mean of applied factory overhead? Anyone? Bakit may tinatawag na applied factory overhead? Anyone?
Sir,
All right, go.
indirect labor,
It is a
indirect labor,
indirect labor ang
factory overhead.
yes, yes, yes. My question here is, what do you mean of applied factory overhead?
Sir Balyada po.
All right, Balyada, Taris.
So, try lang
Sige, go.
yun yung kasi yung yun yung basically yung time period na,
Mm-mm.
yung ginagawa, yung
Mm-mm.
specific na yun na ginawa nila, yun yung mga nagamit na overhead.
All right,
Yan,
mga ginamit. All
parang
right.
kunyari kung ano yung direct materials na
Mm-mm.
nagamit dun sa work. May katumbas din yan na overhead expense.
All right, yes. All right.
Eh,
Pero set aside labor and materials, ha? All right. Bakit pa natin kailangan is mag-set ng applied factory overhead? Well, in fact, you have now here actual overhead. Sa ano ba yan? Di ba ito yan? Ayan, ito yan, di ba? We debit all the actual. Di ba? If you have your T account here, we debit all the actual. No? Ba't kailangan pa may applied factory overhead? Or what do you mean of applied factory overhead? Alright. Sabi ni James, sila po yung computation through accumulation. Yes. Yes, yes. Pero bakit? The question is, bakit? Eh, di ba
sir,
pag
alam ko na.
materials? Okay, sige. Erika.
Ay, si Therese po to.
Alright. Sige, sige, Tiris. Sige, Tiris.
Parang yung sa machinery ba yun? Yung per hour, per
Yes.
hour rates ng mga ginagamit.
Yes. Yes. So, bakit, the question is, bakit kailangan? Eh, pwede naman yung actual eh.
Hindi siya sir dun kasama kasi
Hindi kasama. Yes.
parang
Alright.
sa
I believe
rates.
may ano na. Okay. My first question is, what do you mean of applied factory overhead? Tama dito si Rhea, no? Rhea Slin, mababang loob. Applied factory overhead is the estimated factory overhead. Sabi ni James, unrecognized fixed rate. Yes, we can compute for the fixed rate. Sabi ni Bridget, del irregular pattern. Yes. Alright. Take note of this. For the meantime, ha, we will record applied factory overhead. Again, applied factory overhead is estimated in amount. Sir, bakit nga kailangan mong i-record ang estimated amount? 'Di ba bakit yung DM is actual, bakit yung direct labor is actual? Bakit kailangan mong uh, i-base or i-estimate ang overhead? Ah, bakit? Dahil, Denise,
Sir, I
nag-unmute ka.
think kasi hindi pa nangyayari, kaya we estimate.
Nangyari na eh.
Hindi ko na alam.
Alright. Sino ba, ito na lang example ko sa inyo. Sino ba yung naka-plan sa inyo? Plan sa cellphone? Or lahat kayo ay prepaid? Or yung magulang nyo na lang? Okay, di ba? Let's say yung magulang nyo, naka-plan si Teris. Okay. Ano ba yung plan mo, Teris?
Sa Globe, sir, may
Okay.
internet, may only
May
text.
internet. Let's say yung plan mo ay 1999. Let's say 1999. Malaki, no? Yung 1999 na yan, let's say yan ay nasa planta, no? As part of the cellphone, 'di ba? Yung 1999 na yan is basically, 'di ba? Kailan ba dumarating yung plan mo, Teres?
March 20, every 24th of the month.
February 24th of the month. So meaning natapos na, 'di ba?
Opo.
Yung March 24 na billing statement mo, yan yung previous one, 'di ba?
Yes po.
Alright, meaning if you have Meralco bill in the plant, you have a telephone bill in a plant, you have any other charges in a plant, let's say this is February, dumarating yung billing statement kailan? The
March.
following month pa. Worse pa nga, dumarating yan after 2 months pa. Kailangan na ni Erica na mag-report ng direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. Hindi pa dumarating yung billing statement ni Therese. Sabihin mo, Erica, ay, di, wala pa kasi yung mga billing eh. Kailangan, wag muna natin mag-report. The answer is no. You will report for the meantime applied factory overhead based on predetermined overhead rate, which is basically based on estimated amount. Sabi ni Erica, included din po ba yung utilities, dumarating kasi yan, di ba yung Meralco mo, next month pa, next month pa. Yung renta siguro hindi. Renta is part of the actual. Okay? That's why we record it as the actual applied, the actual overhead. Di ba we debit here all the actual overhead. Di ba ito yan? Yung red is nandito. Yung upright naman is nandito. Sir, bakit may ganon? On Monday, I will discuss about over and under applied factory overhead. Sa ngayon kasi gusto kong i-separate yan para mas mabilis. You get the point ba? Of the applied factory overhead? Yes or no? Alright, I have example here. Let's say, sige, wag na muna. I will introduce first the formula for predetermined overhead. Basta, if you have your applied factory overhead, what we debit here is the work in process. And we credit here manufacturing overhead. So again, the part of the work in process is the manufacturing cost of actual direct materials, actual direct labor, and actual overhead bar applied. If you're listening, it should be Nicole, Stephanie. What you record in the work in process is actual DM, actual DL, and by the way, I am grading your recitation, ha? Sophia, pag kayo hindi sumasagot, ay, okay. 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 Iba-ibang answer nyo. Iba yung private. Okay. Kaya kilala ko yung dito, active dito, no? Patrick.
Actual, sir.
Alright. Okay. Again, when you record for the meantime, your work in process for the meantime, okay, you are not listening kanina, no? Di ba sinabi ko? For the meantime, you will record estimated overhead. Tama Therese. Tama Denise. When you record your work in process, you will record for the meantime actual direct materials, actual direct labor, and applied factory overhead. Bakit nga? O, ano nga yung example ko? Yung plan ni Therese na cellphone. Dumarating yung billing statement mo, kailan? 1 month or 2 months pa. Again, no? I am testing if you are listening, no? O, Clyde, ano ang i-record sa work in process? Wala din. No? Ito ay naka-record ha, kaya alam ko kung sino yung hindi sumasagot. Orange.
Estimated overhead, sir. Actual direct
Okay.
materials and direct labor
Ah,
and applied over.
very good, Renz. Okay, very good, Renz. One more. O, Eliza. Eliza, what is, Eliza, no? Ano yung i-record mo sa work in process?
Sir, Vicente.
Alright,
Ano
Eliza
ba?
ha. Noted yan. Okay, Vicente. Sige.
Um, yung estimated overhead,
Alright,
yung
very good.
applied,
Hmm?
actual direct labor and direct materials,
Alright,
then
and
actual overhead.
actual overhead ba? Alright. Again ha. When you record your work in process, it should be actual direct materials, actual direct labor, and applied factory overhead. Applied is your estimated overhead yan. Alright. Isa na lang. May mga iba dito hindi active, no? Dane.
Yes, sir.
Alright.
Kasama po sa work and process po,
Yes. Mhm.
um, uh, direct materials,
Actual
uh,
or estimated?
actual,
Alright. Next.
actual direct labor po,
Alright.
and then applied
Alright. Very good. Overhead. Alright. Applied is your
estimated
estimated overhead. Again, ako ulit-ulit ha. Bakit nga yan ay applied or estimated overhead? Because of bakit?
hindi mo pa babayaran or hindi pa sa end of the month po, something like
Hindi
that
pa
po.
nababayaran or hindi mo pa nare-receive ang billing statement. Kaya pag kayo ay nakalimutan nyo, just remember Tiris, no? Yung plan ni Tiris na cellphone. 'Di ba? Tama ba Tiris? Yan. Okay. Anyway, yan. So after that, no, if you are done with this, the applied, you have now your finished goods. Meaning work in processes to finished goods. Yan ay na become part of the finished product. Then after that is sold na. Naibenta mo na siya. Alright. Sige. So far clear ha. I'll go back to our PowerPoint na. Alright. Sige. Alright. So next, you accumulate manufacturing costs when they are incurred, same as kanina. Now again, ano yung formula? Ito yung kanina, di ba? We debit raw materials inventory and we credit accounts payable of 42 and 42. That's basically the purchase of handles of 800. Alright. After that, no, ano yung ginagamit natin para ma-monitor ang ating materials? It is called bin card or materials inventory card. Paano yan, sir? O, just ano lang. If you have your coupon bond, no, just have receipt. Balance muna, balance, receipt and issues. Meaning, if you receive a 2,000 handles, you have a $5, no, the cost, then the balance of 2,000. Or let's say, nag-request your rents sa production, 500. Meaning, 500, 5 pesos. So, meaning, 1,500 na lang yung balance mo. Yan. So, ganun lang. Parang proper monitoring of your inventory. Okay? So, mechanically or manually prepared account. So, you can use coupon bond, you can use or any other. Yeah. So, ano tawag sa bin card? Ito yung bin card, no? Teris, no? Bin card is or stock card. Okay?
Tama
Or
po,
if ano yan, Teres?
tama po sir na BIN,
Yes,
bin.
bin card. Yes, BIN. Tama. Parang ano lang naman siya. Parang monitoring of your inventory. Okay? So, kung may, yung iba, may index card lang. If you have an index card, you have handles, no? So, meaning you have your receipt, okay? You have your issuance, and you have your balance. Ay, ganun lang. Ito yung bin card, no? Or you can use your Excel file, or you can also use SAP, or any other accounting software. Ayan. Also, you accumulate of course factory labor naman, no? 'Di ba sabi ko kanina, the factory labor, no? Pag may sweldo ka, 'di ba kung may sweldo ka, you have your payable minus your SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, 'di ba? Sino ba dito yung working ano? Sino ba dito yung working student? 'Di ba? Kung may kayo ay may sweldo na, 'di ba minus yung inyong minus ang inyong SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, 'di ba? So gross earnings in terms of factory workers and payroll taxes. Yan. Don't worry, I will discuss next meeting. We will just end no up to the labor and overhead. Say overhead lang, no? Overhead naman again, when you incur the overhead, when you incur the actual, we debit the manufacturing overhead. All right. Then you have payables, insurance. Ano nga yung pag-applied overhead? We debit overhead or we credit overhead? Ano nga yung entries when we have applied overhead? Debit, work in process, and credit manufacturing overhead. That's why here, when you have your actual overhead, go back to our Excel, diba? When we have the overhead, as you notice here, no? We debit all the actual and we credit all the applied overhead. Ito ay actual. That's why we debit here overhead. Yan. Ako ba ay naintindihan? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Kasi baka kayo ay nalilito. At sige, just inform me ha. Again, ulitin ko. What we debit here is all our actual expenses in terms of the overhead. Yung lahat ng marirecord mo na pwedeng ma-record, it is to be debited. Pero, yun nga, yung mga billing statement, kaya nga, that's why, what we transfer to the work in process is the applied, not the actual. Because later, on next Monday, I will introduce you to the over and under applied overhead. And that's why the applied overhead is to be transferred to the work in process. And all right, sige. Job cost sheet again, the work in process. Yan. So again, in terms of transferring the work in process actual, the actual direct labor, and the applied overhead, it is basically to be used or to be recorded to your job cost sheet. Take note of the job cost sheet. It is posted and usually made monthly. Job cost sheet again, ano ngayon? Direct materials actual, actual direct labor, and applied factory overhead. Alright, so ito yung tinatawag na job cost sheet, no? You record all the materials, you record all the labor, and you record all your overhead. Alright, so Therese, may question. Sir, so journal entries di specifically nakalagay applied and actual mad. Ano tanong mo, Therese? Sige nga, di ko maintindihan.
Sorry sir, nag-auto-correct kasi yung Tagalog. Ano,
Ah,
yung journal entries, sir, hindi
alright.
ilalagay, yung either i-debit or credit mo lang, overhead lang, hindi mo ilalagay na applied or actual. Bali, nasa sayo na yun.
For me, mas maganda isa account lang, manufacturing overhead. In some other book, no, may tinatawag pa na applied overhead na account, may tinatawag pa na factory overhead control. For me, no, just have one account, no. Basta lahat ng actual mo, you debit. You
Wala
debit
na.
overhead, then pag applied naman siya, we credit applied. Why? Kasi 'di ba we debit here work in process and we credit here work in debit, sorry. Ano ba 'yan? Ito. We debit work in process and we credit manufacturing overhead.
So, iisa na lang, sir. Wala na yung
For
mga
me,
dati na
that's
control accounts.
yes, that's my style, no? Ewan ko lang sa inyo. For me, ito yung mas maganda. mas madali siya later when we have now over and under applied overhead. Okay? Sir, actual po ba yung factory overhead control? You can use manufacturing overhead or factory overhead control. Basta, again, basta the debit is your actual, the credit is your applied. Oh, you can use factory overhead control. Same lang yun. Basta, again, what you debit is all your actual. All your credit is your applied or estimated. Nagigets ba ako? Kaya ang gusto ko next meeting, I will focus more on the factory overhead. Okay na ba, Therese and James, Antonio?
Yes po.
Alright, sige. After that, again, what if now the raw materials is to be assigned to the jobs and when the materials is issued to the production? Yan. So, kanina may tinatawag na ano nga yun, bin card. No? Ito naman is material requisition slips. O let's say sa warehouse, kailangan mo na ng handles. No? Hindi siya pwedeng nasa warehouse lang. Kailangan yan ay maging finished product. So, kailangan ng assembly department ng handles. Okay? That's why, si warehouse keeper or warehouse ay makaka-receive ng material requisition slip. Dapat yan ay authorized and approved by the department supervisor. And also, it would indicate the quantity and type of materials and account to be charged. Ito yan, ha? Yan. So, kailangan yung MR or PR ay may duplicate yan na nasa storeroom keeper. Tingin mo bakit? Di ba ikaw yung pag may nawala dyan, as part of the storekeeper, no? You are liable. Alright. Yung, yung naman original ay nasaan? Nasa accounting department. My
Sir,
question is, bakit sa accounting department? O, Therese, question.
same po ba yung pa-purchase order?
Purchase?
Order?
Hindi, iba yan. Ito ay sa production. Meaning,
Okay.
i-issue mo siya sa production. Yung purchase order kasi, magpo-purchase ka ng materials. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Ito ay materials requisition, parang yung mga materials mo ay nasa warehouse, kailangan na ng mga handles mo. Kaya yung assembly department will issue a MR. Okay?
Sir, sa
And,
kanila ngayon.
oo, sa assembly department ang tapos ang mag-request, no. So malamang ito 'yun, 'di ba? Kaya nga 'di ba? Makaka-receive si storekeeper nito, no. Of course,
Okay.
dapat approved by and copied. Tapos dapat yung mismong original copy ay nasa accounting. Yan ang trabaho natin. Bakit? Sino ba ang nagre-record ng ating books? 'Di ba tayo din? Yan. That's why, 'di ba as you notice, no, pag kayo ay nag-OJT na, ba't kaya ang daming papel ng mga accounting department? Napansin niyo ba? Ba't kaya ang daming papel sa atin? Kasi
Kasi
our job,
nire-record.
yes, kasi nire-record kasi natin ang lahat ng transactions. Dapat pag nag-record tayo, dapat may ebidensya. Dapat may evidence. So yung evidence mo ay yung mga papel na nakakalat sa iyo. Alala ko pa, nung San Miguel pa ako, no? Pag accounting department, daming papel. Alright. Yan. After that, job cost sheets, no? O, di ba? Work in process is for the DM. Overhead is for indirect materials. Yeah? And you have your work in process. Discussed already kanina. Alright, factory labor. Don't worry, we will end to this factory labor. We will continue next meeting about factory overhead para at least gusto ko kasi ma-appreciate yung overhead kasi doon kayo nahihirapan, di ba? Alright, kahit sa Lasal, no? And the LSU, nahihirapan sila in terms of overhead. Okay? Factory labor naman are assigned to jobs when the work is performed by the employees. Ano naman yung evidence nila? Time ticket. Yan. So, time ticket, meaning yung trabaho mo, yung oras of employee name, then the account, then the labor cost. Yan. Alright. Alright, si Dane. Ito yung trabaho niya, 4 hours lang. Yan. Sa ibang company, it is called biometrics. Diba? Yung fingerprint mo lang. Yan. So, meaning time in, time out. Malalaman mo na yung trabaho mo. Alright. So, ano yung form, ano yung journal entries? Work in process in terms of indirect labor. And also, manufacturing overhead in terms of your indirect labor. And you have now your factory labor. Again, direct labor is for the work in process. Indirect labor is for the manufacturing overhead. And you have your factory labor. Yan. Summarize everything. Again, materials purchased, you debit materials, credit accounts payable or cash. Direct materials and direct materials used, work in process. As to the direct materials, ito yung sinasabi kanina. Sino ba natanong kanina? As James Antonio, you can use factory overhead control or manufacturing overhead. Same lang yan. And you have materials. Okay? You have, and then also you have direct labor, payroll, and accrued payroll. Then you have also work in process as to the direct labor, factory overhead control, or manufacturing overhead as to indirect labor, and you have your payroll. So far, any question? So we are done in terms of materials and direct labor. All right,
Sir,
next meeting, I will discuss about this. No?
hello.
All right,
Sir,
question. Sige. Bridget,
sir, same po ba yung, ay sir, ano po yung material credit slip? Same po ba yun sa material requisition or sa
material,
time ticket?
ano yan?
Material credit slips po.
Material requisition
Credit slip.
slip dapat. Okay, the slip, saan yan?
Sir, kasi nasa book siya eh.
Okay, same lang yan, same lang yan.
Sa
Material
requisition,
requisition
sir.
slip, yes.
Okay.
Yung labor ticket naman, iba naman yun na time and time out yun, ng empleyado.
Okay po. Thank you.
Alright. Any question? Ang oras na ba? 8:34. Okay lang to.
Ano natin, sir? Parang prescribed na book. Wala.
De Leon. No?
Yung kahit na hindi siya, yung kahit
Nasa De Leon.
norma,
Ano na yan?
kahit
Yung
na
kulay. Kahit yung green, pwede na yan. Green or yung red. Maroon, para maroon.
green, okay, sir.
Wala bang wala ba yung anong father mo? Wala ba siyang book na cost
Green
accounting?
po yung nasa akin.
Ha?
Green
Yung
po
green.
sa
Okay lang, green. Oo.
hardware po. Yung
Green, pwede yan.
sir, yung, pwede sir, may tayo sir, syllabus para in case gusto mo dadyan.
Meron. Sige, send ko sa inyo.
Okay po.
Ay, ano pa pala kaya ngayon, no? I will send na lang the Excel file kung ano yung mga topic kasi
Yes, sir.
new syllabus kasi tayo eh.
Okay po,
Wala
sir.
pang binibigay sa akin. Sasabihin ko sana, Tiris, you will use Window Balyada.
Wala po kaming cost.
Walang cost. Alright.
Wala pa.
Wala pa. Ikaw na yung magsulat. Pag CPA ka na. Alright. Any questions so far? Okay, may question dito. Yes, I will post this. Sorry, hindi ko pa napopost yung, although nasend ko naman sa, diba, sa group chat natin. Okay.
Sir, last pala, sir, sorry.
Sige, Tiris.
Yung sa quiz, sir, yung results para malaman namin alin yung nagkamali kami.
Sa kanina ba, yung quiz?
Opo.
Okay, sige.
Okay po, sir.
Alam niyo ba kung hindi niyo pa alam kung ina-score niya?
Alam po, sir,
Okay.
pero yung mistake.
Okay, sige. Later. Okay. Ilan ba nakuha mo? So, hindi ko pa nakikita eh.
One mistake.
Yun, one mistake. Saan ka nagkamali?
May feeling ko dun, may flinag ako dun, feeling ko yun. Nalimutan ko
Di mo pa kasi alam.
Yung sa VAR,
Sige.
sa
Oo. Ano tanong? Alright, one mistake na. Alright. No question ba?
Sir.
Alright. Okay, stop the share. Hopefully you learn. Hello? Hindi, no comment. No comment. Alright, sige. See you all again on... Sorry, when you... Hindi, mamaya, isend ka na kaagad para ano, upload ka na kaagad. Alright. So if not, thank you very much and see you all on Monday.
Salamat,
Well,
sir.
okay. Next Monday, I will discuss about
Thank you, sir.
overhead
Kaya
naman.
ako na lang po kahit
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sige. Nga, pahanapin mo pa. Sige, sige. Daris. Alright, sige. Bye-bye.
sir,
Yes,
Question.
sir.
sir may hapon
Please.
sir.
Ano yan?
Sir, yung sa ano, ay shucks, nakalimutan ko yung tanong ko. Okay, sir, bye-bye. So, i-chat ko
Ano
na
yan?
lang. Nalimutan ko
Okay.
literal.
Okay, sige, sige, sige. Bye-bye. Alright, sige, sige. Bye-bye.
Nalimutan
Have a nice night, sir.
ko. Thank
Alright.
you.
Message mo na lang ako. Sige, sige. Bye-bye.